I mean, this field is just asking for running. I'd also take a nap in this field too. Lay down, full on fall asleep. Dream scenario. Hey everyone, welcome back to the second part of my Pride series. Today I'm going to be sharing my favorite queer places in New York. And originally this started off as a video just about New York City, but there's actually one place that we're going to be going to that is not in the city, but technically still in New York State. So the reason why I wanted to make this video is because, especially when I first came out, I was Googling places that I could go to that were queer owned or queer friendly, basically places that were owned by my community, where people within the LGBTQ plus community would hang out, where I could meet other people and just be around other queers. What I found was it was really difficult to find anything that wasn't a bar or club or nightlife related. So I wanted to make a video about the places that I have discovered in New York that I really love, that I go to, and that have really just created a special place in my heart. I think whether these places are queer owned or queer friendly and just places where queer people like to hang out, these are all really amazing places to just be around the community. So the first place on my list of queer places in New York is Mimi's Cafe. And this is a pretty new restaurant in the Prospect Heights area of Brooklyn. It is owned by two queer people, and they created this really incredible kind of elevated diner experience. And I have been there for dinner. I love it because when you sit down, they serve you little cheese balls, like Cheetos, but like in the ball form, and you get to snack on those. And I've heard for brunch that they give you a little mixture of breakfast cereal, which is really fun, so you can munch on that. I've also seen that they have various queer nights there as well, and when you go in, it's just a really welcoming space, and it's a great place to hang out with friends, to go on a date, to have a meal there by yourself. And I love that it's really in a part of Brooklyn that feels like a place where locals are hanging out. Speaking of the local experience in Brooklyn, we're actually going to be spending a lot of time in Brooklyn. But that aside, pretty much like a couple blocks down and around the corner from Mimi's Cafe is another really amazing queer-owned business called Cafe Eloise. So if you're looking for a place where you can get coffee, a light bite, some really amazing mini donuts, this is the place to go. Cafe Eloise is in Crown Heights, so right on the border of Prospect Heights and Crown Heights, and it's on a beautiful tree-lined street. So especially during this time of the year, the trees provide wonderful shade for sitting outside. You can bring your dog and hang out and sit outside, enjoy a drink. My personal favorite is the iced rose matcha latte with oat milk. That is a mouthful of an order, but it is really, really good. And you can also just get, you know, your regular coffee drinks there as well. Personally, I really love Cafe Eloise because every time I go in there, I feel like people are having conversations with each other. Like, I've been pulled into conversations with the people that work there, people who are just hanging out there and like overhear something. And I love that aspect about going to a local place and people really wanting to be involved in each other's lives. So it's a really great casual place to connect with people that you know, but also maybe people that you don't know. Now we're gonna go back into Manhattan, but this time to the Lower East Side to Blue Stockings Bookstore. So this was actually my very first like queer discovery when I was exploring New York City just on my own years ago. And I was specifically looking for poetry and writing by queer people. And Blue Stockings Bookstore kept coming up when I was looking for queer writing, so I decided to go in person, and I was just blown away by the space. So this is also a space that is run by volunteers, and they have such a wide variety of writing to choose from. There is poetry, there is fiction, there's LGBTQ history, gender studies, there's books on sex, there are graphic novels, there are zines. They also have really incredible community events as well. I've seen them as I've walked by the bookstore. I would say the things that you find in this bookstore are not going to be things that you see in other bookstores, and that's what makes it so special. Because usually when you go to different bookstores, even when they're independent bookstores, you kind of see the same thing over and over, like here are the bestsellers and here are the books that have won awards. But these books are often written by people who you may have never heard of before, or topics that you just don't typically see out in the open at other bookstores. And I think that is why this is such an important space as well, because you have access to so many different topics written by so many different people from different experiences. It is different, it is creative, it is inclusive, it is welcoming, and it is somewhere that you need to go. It is so cool. The next place on the list is a museum, and this is actually the only LGBTQ plus museum for the visual arts in the world. And this means it's a really incredible place, but it's also quite shocking that at this time, this is the only place that is dedicated to LGBTQ visual arts. And it's really spectacular that it's also in New York City. So this year they are celebrating their 50th year anniversary in conjunction with the 50th anniversary of Stonewall. So this is a really huge year just for the community in general. The Leslie Lohman Museum was started by Charles Leslie and Fritz Lohman. So they started the museum in their Soho loft, and now it's still in Soho, but it's a museum that you can actually go into, and they have really amazing exhibitions. The first time that I went to this museum was last year during Fierce Pussy, which was incredible. It was really powerful to see words that were being reclaimed by the queer community, specifically words that had been used as weapons for so long. It was one of my favorite things to walk by whenever I'd be walking in Soho, and it was just a good reminder of everything's gonna be okay. And that's how I feel whenever I go into this space and I get to see all different kinds of art, ranging from photography to different installations made by queer people. And some of these people are still living today, some people are no longer living. There's such a wide and expansive variety of art to look at as well. And the day that we went to the museum when we were filming this, I was just kind of in a bad mood going in. I was just like in a funk. And by the time we walked out, my mood had completely shifted, because I think art, especially queer art, for me has this really profound impact. It's really comforting, it challenges me, it gets me to look at things in a new way, and it also really forces me to sink into the stories of these artists and their subjects and think about what life had been like for them during the time that this art was created. And it makes me feel supported by people that I've never met before, just knowing that this is the way that they were fighting. This is the way that they were doing the work, by literally physically doing work that challenged the way that people moved through their lives. Even if you're someone who thinks, oh, I don't know anything about art, this is the place to go. This is a museum to go to where everyone can feel welcome, and you will find something that resonates with you, even if you feel like walking in like, oh, I don't know what the art world is all about, because I don't know what the art world is all about, but I am so moved every time I go into this museum, and the people who work there are so dedicated to preserving the history and also expanding the history, which I think is incredible. Now we're gonna be leaving the city and going upstate to Ithaca and Seneca Falls. And some of you may be like, what? What are you talking about? What could possibly be up there? Well, let me tell you, there are a lot of things up there, from queer-owned businesses to queer-friendly spaces to just a lot of history. And I wish I could just dedicate a whole video to this because it was so fascinating going up there and really a special experience. So I'm gonna throw it back to my past self and take you along on that ride. The next stop, Americana Vineyards in Seneca Falls. So this is actually a pet-friendly vineyard that you can go to. You can do wine tastings, you can hang out in the beautiful outdoor seating area, and you can bring your dogs. There are actually 2 in-house dogs there, Maverick and Lily, and I love that I could bring Tato here because the minute I saw the outdoor area, I was like, Tato would love it here. They also host a gay potluck there in addition to a free wine tasting for people who attend. So behind me here is the New York State Equal Rights Heritage Center, and this is an incredible facility. It is brand new, and they cover everything from women's rights to the abolition of slavery to various human rights issues, including a lot of LGBTQ issues. And what's really cool is that this year they are planning a really big Pride celebration. Now I'm back in the car doing this because I tried to do it outside, but it's too windy. So here I am. I think it's really incredible how this community is bringing its history to light and creating spaces where people can go to learn about this history. Our new friend Joe from Americana Vineyards just told us that the ice cream sundae was invented in Ithaca. So obviously we're gonna go get some ice cream right now. This is me going back to my motherland, the home of ice cream. We spent the morning at the Women's Rights National Park, and honestly there is so much to see here. There is such diverse history, and I also really like that they're not shying away from uncomfortable topics. They also have the chapel next door, which is the location of the first ever Women's Rights Convention. We also went to the National Women's Hall of Fame, which is right down the street, and the walls are covered with women who have contributed to our country in various aspects such as education, government, philanthropy, science, arts. There are women on the walls who are openly out, but there are also women on the walls who are no longer living and were not out during their lives. It always makes me wonder when I look at pictures of women in spaces like this who were so revolutionary. I'm always thinking, all right, where are the queers at? Because they're definitely here. You know that they were a part of these massive movements. And what's cool is that anyone can nominate someone to be in the National Hall of Fame of Women. So if you would like to nominate someone, there's a link down below where you can nominate whoever you would like. The last stop on our tour of the Finger Lakes, Harriet Tubman's home. So we went and saw the visitor center, which has different artifacts that have been found on the property. Reverend Carter gave us an amazing presentation that was one of the best I've ever seen, and we learned so much about Harriet Tubman's story, so many things that we just aren't taught in school. I've been so blown away by everyone's warmth here in the community, how much everyone knows and how much they're willing to share. And it makes me really excited to come back with my friends. All right, so that is going to be it for my video today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that whether you live in New York City or maybe you're visiting New York City, if you're looking for somewhere to go, I hope that one of these places checks something off of your list. I feel like I covered a lot of things. There's food, there's museums, there's history, there's fun. Before I go, I also want to remind you that if you enjoyed this video, you can give it a thumbs up and like it, and you can also hit the donate button to donate to It Gets Better. And this is something that I'm participating in all month long for Pride, and it's a really great way to be able to support the community and also the next generation of people within our community as well. I'd also love it if you would leave a comment below sharing a queer space in your city that you think people should know about, because this way we can create our own list of places and we don't have to rely on those lists online that just keep repeating the same places over and over again. Next week, I'll be back with another Pride video, and there's a special guest in it. I'll see you next week, Friday at 2 p.m. Be here or be queer. Oh my God. Okay, that was a good one, not gonna lie. See you later.